listening to the Full Circle Weekly News of the open source community presented by Full Circle Magazine. These articles are compiled by Eric the Unready, and I'm your host, Moss Bliss. This is episode 468, covering week 34, June 1st through 7th, 2026. Audacious 4.6, branched from the Beep Media Player project, is out. The release comes with two user interfaces, GTK-based and Qt-based. Ready builds will be available soon, prepared for various Linux distributions as Snap, Flatpak, and PPA, and for Windows. 86box 6.0, a system emulator based on the x86 architecture with which you can run old operating systems and applications, including those used in the early 1980s on the IBM PC5150 and IBM PS2 computers, has a new release. Accurate low-level system emulation is supported, starting with 8086 processors and ending with Intel Celeron Mendocino. The project code is written in C and is licensed under GPL v2. For control, a graphical interface is provided with the ability to configure virtual machines. Emulation of various peripheral devices such as video adapters, sound cards, network cards, and hard drive controllers is available. Supported operating systems include MS-DOS, Windows 3.11/95, OS/2, various Linux distributions, BOS, NextStep, and other older operating systems. Corrective releases of X.org Server 21.1.23 and the DDX component X Wayland 24.1.12, which runs X.org Server for the execution of X11 applications in Wayland-based environments, are available. They eliminated 9 vulnerabilities. Some vulnerabilities could potentially be exploited to escalate privileges on systems where the X server is running with root privileges, as well as remote code execution and configurations that use SSH-assisted X11 session redirection for access. Canonical presented Workshop, allowing one team to quickly create isolated environments in Ubuntu for use in software development and solving problems related to machine learning and the involvement of AI agents. The environment is defined in one configuration file in YAML format, which allows you to accurately reproduce the described environment on any computer. Thanks to this workshop, the developer can focus on what he wants to get without wasting his time sorting out dependencies and setting up the fillers. The toolkit is installed in the form of a snap package. The project code is written in Go and is licensed under GPL v3. Ubuntu Sway Remix 26.04 LTS, providing a pre-configured and ready-to-use desktop based on a Mosaic composite Sway manager, is out. The distribution is an unofficial edition of Ubuntu 26.04, created with an eye on both experienced GNU/Linux users and beginners who want to try the environment of Mosaic window managers without the need to configure them for a long time. For download, prepared builds for AMD 64, ARM64 architectures, and Raspberry Pi computers. The distribution environment is built on the basis of Sway and is fully compatible with the i3 Mosaic Window Manager, as well as the Waybar panel, the Thunar File Manager, and utilities from the NWG-Shell project, such as the Desktop Wallpaper Manager Azote, Full Screen Application Menu, NWG-Drawer.Utilities for displaying script content on the screen, NWG.Wrapper, GTK Theme Customization Manager, Cursor and Fonts NWG-Look, and a script auto-tiling. Automatically composes open application windows in the manner of dynamic Mosaic window managers. Another feature of the distribution is the complete abandonment of the Snap Package Manager. All programs are supplied in the form of regular deb packages, including the Firefox web browser, which is installed using the official Mozilla Team PPA repository. The distribution installer is based on the Calamares framework. NVD-VRAM, which allows you to place your swap area in video memory of your NVIDIA graphics card, is available. This makes it possible to virtually increase the memory size in the system running on laptops and soldered non-expandable RAM and NVIDIA GPU. The code is written in C and falls under the MIT license. On a laptop with 16 gigs of RAM and an NVIDIA GeForce RTX 3070 graphics card with 8 gigs of VRAM, you can use an additional 7 gigs of memory through the swap section. One would use a ZRAM kernel module to store the swap partition and connect an additional swap partition on the SSD drive. The total size of the addressable memory in the test configuration is then increased to 46 gigabytes. If there is a lack of RAM, video memory begins to be used, then ZRAM compression is used, and at the last stage, swap on the SSD is used. Performance with video memory and sequential reading is estimated to be approximately 1.3 gigabytes per second, and delays below that of NVMe due to GPU access via the PCIe bus. A new release of Privoxy 4.2.0 designed to create personal filters for web content is out. Using Privoxy, you can cut ads, discard tracking cookies, delete pop-up dialogues, block the download of third-party JavaScript code, and make arbitrary changes to web pages that the user needs. Privoxy supports installation on both individual users' local systems and servers to create a centralized content filtering infrastructure on the local network. The project code is written in C and is licensed under GPL v2+. Ready-made builds are prepared for Linux as Deb and Windows. Privoxy's advanced features include the ability to bind tags to change the behavior of filters depending on individual client and server HTTP headers, HTTPS inspection mode, which allows you to filter HTTPS requests and responses, use of regular expressions and configuration files, the ability to replace animated GIFs with stripped-down static pictures. Privoxy can be used to block ads and unwanted content on devices that cannot install the appropriate browser add-ons. Alibaba published the open platform Open Code Review with the implementation of a hybrid peer review architecture that combines rigorous review methods with the flexibility of large language models. The project is based on the code of Alibaba's internal change review system written in Go and licensed under Apache 2.0. The system supports integration with various large language models, allows comments to be linked to specific lines in the code, and contains built-in sets of rules to identify common problems and vulnerabilities such as thread synchronization errors, cross-site scripting, and SQL substitution. Rule-based validation is provided for Java, TypeScript, Go, Python, Kotlin, C++, and C. Roku presented the open operating system Roku LTOS, aimed at specialized engineering projects and embedded systems. Roku LTOS allows you to create your own solutions that can work in environments with limited resources and strict requirements for delays and predictable execution times. The project code is written in C and is licensed under Apache 2.0. It supports creating firmware for ESP32 and STM32 microcontrollers, as well as running Roku LTOS on top of Linux. An SDK and firmware examples, as well as a training guide video course, are supplied. The minimum equipment requirement is a 100 MHz processor and 64 kilobytes of RAM. Applications running on Roku LTOS are collected in the form of dynamically loaded shared libraries. There is support for the TCP/IP stack LWIP, MP4 and Opus codecs, encryption, and TLS. Drivers are supplied for various sensors, Bluetooth, USB input devices, Wi-Fi, SD cards, NPU, SPI, and I2C. The Meta distribution T2SDE 26.6 is available, which provides an environment for creating your own distributions, cross-compiling, and keeping package versions up to date. Popular distributions built on the T2 system include Puppy Linux. The project provided 10 ready-made bootable ISO images with a KDE-based graphical environment built for the ARM64, IA64, PPC64, PPC64LE, RISC-V64, RISC-V64 RVA23, i686, and x86 architectures. T2 provides support for 20 hardware architectures used on both modern embedded systems and legacy equipment. For example, support is provided for Nintendo Wii U and Sony PS3 game consoles, SGI, Sun, and HP workstations. Most architectures can be loaded in environments with 128 megabytes of RAM. Architectures supported include Alpha, ARC, ARM64, HPPA64, IA64, Loong Arch 64, M68K, Microblaze, MIPS64, Nios 2, OpenRISC, PowerPC 64, RISC-V64, S390X, Spark 64, Super H, i486, i686, i786, x86 64, and x32. A community of enthusiasts develops OpenGram, an open implementation of the Telegram Messenger backend. The project is a standalone server that implements the MT-Proto protocol, which can be used to replace the official Telegram server infrastructure when deployed on your own equipment. Official Telegram clients are supported after changing their data center address and public RSA server key. OpenGram is a fork of the MyTelegram project. The code for OpenGram is written in C#, .NET 9, and has source code without specifying a license. The original MyTelegram project was delivered under the Apache 2.0 license, which, in accordance with paragraph 4a, requires the inclusion of a copy of the license text when distributing derivative works. However, some of MyTelegram's functionality is not open. For example, it is missing code for components related to session management and file transfer. A program for storing notes, Outwicker 4.0, is out in a new version. A special feature of the program is that notes are stored in the form of catalogs with text files. An arbitrary number of files can be attached to each note. The program allows you to write notes using various notations, HTML, Wiki, and even Markdown if the corresponding plugin is installed. Also, using plugins, you can add the ability to place formulas in LaTeX format on wiki pages and insert a block of code with syntax highlighting for various programming languages. The program is written in Python, is licensed under the GPLv3 license, and is available in builds for Linux, Snap and Flatpak, and Windows. XLibre, a fork of X.org server, presented in version 25.1.6. The release marked the transition of branch 25.1 to stable. XLibre is used by default in the Artix Linux, GhostBSD, OpenMandriva, and Vendafowl Wolf distributions. For Arch Linux, Debian, Dragonfly BSD, Fedora, FreeBSD, Gentoo Linux, GNU, GUIX, Linux Mint, MX Linux, RHEL, Slackware, Ubuntu, and Void Linux, the community supports packages to replace X.org server with XLibre. Jean-Baptiste Lallemand published plans on the development of the functionality of the desktop environment which Canonical intends to implement in the autumn release of Ubuntu 26.10. With Ubuntu 26.04 LTS Resolute Raccoon now shipped and settling in, the desktop engineering team is already deep in the next development cycle. Ubuntu 26.10 Stonking Stingray arrives in October 2026. While non-LTS releases often focus on delivering new capabilities, they also play another important role, laying the foundation for the next LTS release. Much of the work happening in Ubuntu 26.10 is part of a broader vision for Ubuntu 28.04 LTS. That vision is centered around 4 goals: a robust platform built on GNOME, simple by default, flexible by design, a context-aware desktop, a trusted and integrated platform. Every major investment in this cycle contributes to one or more of these objectives. You've been listening to Full Circle Weekly News. For more details, see the next issue of the magazine at fullcirclemagazine.org or check the links in the show notes. You can contact me at bardmoss@pm.me. I'll be back next week.